Tell me exactly what was going through your mind, why you felt it was so important to say this back to Kanye in the middle of the newsroom.
Because he was emotionally triggered. For what other reason would he engage Kanye West in a back and forth?
Well, there's really is only one reason, and the reason is that, first of all, we should say that here at TMZ, we're encouraged to engage in conversation like this when we hear things, and that's kind of what TMZ Live is. It's what TMZ Sports is. That's something that's encouraged here. That's one of the reasons why I've been here for as long as I have been.
Yes, because the good master Harvey Levin allows you to speak your mind. Now, interestingly enough, Van Lathan is someone of a moderate degree of notoriety. So one would think that maybe he would have struck out on his own so that he could shine some light on all those so-called pro-black men and women on the ground with their boots on the ground, as he would say, and give them a little bit of light, give them a little bit of shine. Why is he so content to continue to work at TMZ? This is what I'm talking about, brothers. It's one thing to keep talking shit for your whole life and talk about racism and slavery and all that, but when are a lot of these guys going to actually put their money where their mouth is? He should have been left TMZ, formed his own channel on YouTube or his own website where he would have been making just as much money, if not more, than he's making at TMZ. Because if you ever watch TMZ Sports, all he and Babcock ever do is joke about how broke they are. Well, you know what? Get your ass out of TMZ. Get on YouTube. I'm sure you being a so-called pro-black, you'll have 500,000 subscribers like that. You could talk about sports. You could talk about everything that you want to talk about. You'll make you a good little grip, and you'll be able to give light to the people that you claim are doing so much good work for the so-called black community. And I'm not saying that there aren't. There are some. But the real solution for the so-called black community is going to be when the so-called black man learns to love himself. And people will say, well, how can he do that when he's growing up in broken homes, when he's doing this, when this is happening, oppression? So-called black man, the cycle has to stop. You have to stop the cycle. You cannot wait for someone else to stop the cycle. You have to stop it. In order for you to get the throne, you cannot expect someone to step out of the throne and say, here's your chair, sir. You have to pull the person out of the throne and take the kingdom, man. That's how it is. And from a microcosmic perspective, it has to start one so-called black man at a time. One at a time. Put down the weed, put down the video game remote control, and learn how to discipline yourself and become a better person. And incrementally learn to better yourself. Stop allowing the so-called black woman to be a damn hood rat. Stop neglecting your children. And when I'm saying these things, I'm not talking about every so-called black man. But if it applies to you, then it applies to you. These are the issues that we have to handle. The so-called black woman is not going to solve any problems. Women, by nature, are not problem solvers. They're problem causers. That's why I call them agents of chaos. Kanye West is an agent of chaos. He's under programming. Van Lathan, he's an agent of chaos. Why is that? Because he's seeking justification. He's seeking credibility. He's seeking validity from the same people that he claims are trying to marginalize and kill him. So he's confused.
It's because that's something that's been nurtured. But secondly, Kanye West has been saying that he is a proponent of free thought. That's fine. Everyone should be a proponent of free thought. That's part of the reason why this country is so great, is because we have the opportunity to speak freely and think freely.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting, Van Lathan, if we had our own country and we could take all the best of America and apply it and all the worst and get rid of it? You're bragging about how great America is, but you're claiming that you're basically living in hell here. So which one is it, sir? Do you love it or do you hate it? Or maybe you love certain parts, but you hate the fact that the people who run this country don't love you as much as you wish they did.
However, when that free thought is saying things like slavery was a choice, it's as important to call out those ideas which I believe that are bad. Right? He was here, he had a very big platform, he had a great conversation with Harvey and Charles, and saying that the people that were brutalized and their humanity was desecrated and all of these things, that they chose that, is disrespectful to them.
Well, you know what, sir? And I brought this up in another one of these Kanye West videos. If that's how you feel, then be consistent with it. Because Harriet Tubman said a lot of the same things that are being alleged that Kanye West was stating. She stated point blank, at least the quote that's attributed to her. She stated that she saved a lot of people, but she could have saved a lot more if she could have got them to understand that they were slaves. That's the quote that's attributed to Harriet Tubman. So are you saying that Harriet Tubman was being disrespectful to our quote-unquote ancestors? And Let me say this about a lot of you brothers. A lot of you will find out that your ancestors were not even slaves if you were to do some type of diligent research. You may find out that they did not come from Africa. A lot of so-called black people here in America are not the descendants of West Africans. A lot of us are not the descendants of slaves. Some of us are, but you have to be able to differentiate. You cannot believe in a group narrative that is being placed on the so-called black community for mind control.
It's disrespectful to us. It's actually disrespectful to even all of the soldiers of whatever color that laid their lives down so that people could be free.
Let me ask you a question.
The Civil War was not fought so that people could be free. The Civil War was fought because you had agents of chaos, aka provocateurs, strategically placed in both the North and the South. In the North, you had agents of chaos known as abolitionists, many of whom were just trying to create a level of enmity between the North and the South because they knew that many of the more prominent members of the Southern states were totally dependent on slave labor in order to accrue their wealth. In the South, you had the forerunners of the Ku Klux Klan, known as the Knights of the Golden Circle, with such prominent members as Jesse James's father, whose job it was to make sure that they could stir up many of the more prominent members of the Southern states so that they could have their own national bank installed. And then after a while, each state was going to have its own national bank. The international bankers were trying to reinvigorate the national bank because they wanted to plunge the United States into a state of great debt. Remember that the first national bank was chartered under Alexander Hamilton, and the second national bank was chartered under Nicholas Biddle. Now, Andrew Jackson declared himself an enemy of the national bank, which is why there was an attempt on his life that was made. Of course, he was able to survive that attempt on his life, and there was no national bank in the Americas all the way from the mid-1830s up through the 1860s. And that's one of the main reasons why they killed Abraham Lincoln, because he was against the national bank, which was going to be used to plunge America into debt. That's why America to this day is somewhere around $20 trillion in debt, because we have a national bank known as the Federal Reserve, which loans money to America.
Question. When he came over, first off, he even said it to you. He said, "You look like you want to fight me." And there was some tension at first, and he came over and he hugged you.
Nobody gonna fight him.
When he hugged you, though, you don't look like you are emotionally giving back. You almost look like you're resisting it, like you don't want a piece of it. I mean, look, right? I mean, let's talk about that. What was going through your mind when that was happening?
Well, what was going through my mind is that a hug doesn't change any of the words that you said or any of the notions that you have that can injure people. I don't want to have a personal beef with...
That photo right there tells you all that you need to know about Kanye West. Please pay attention to the hand sign that he's throwing up with his left hand. He is a Luciferian, bottom line.
With an idol of mine. That's not what we do here. That's not what we're trying to do. But I don't know if...
Now, did you hear what Van Lathan stated? Let me rewind it back a little bit.
I think a lot of the narrative that can injure people. I don't want to have a personal beef with an idol of mine.
Once again, as I stated, he idolizes Kanye West. He's a fan. That's why he's mentally unstable. Brothers, you're not supposed to be a fan of another man. You're supposed to be a fan of the Most High. Your woman is supposed to be a fan of yours. Your children are supposed to be fans of yours. We as brothers are supposed to respect one another. We're supposed to admire the work that we put in to perfect our craft, our skills, our gifts. And we're supposed to love each other in righteousness. That's it. You're not supposed to idolize another man. That's an abomination.
That's not what we do here. That's not what we're trying to do. But I don't know if I think a lot of the narrative has been, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I don't think that in any way made me feel any better about what he had said. I wanted to kind of combat that, and I didn't feel like a handshake and a hug was going to wipe it out of my brain.
If he did fight you, though, you'd win, right?
I don't know. People are talking about that.
I would have hoped that you'd win. Kanye's like 5'9". You like 6'5", dude.
People are saying big to be Kanye.
Of course people could say that because they wanted to see two so-called black men fight over a disagreement in regards to ideology. That's what they were hoping it was going to build up towards.
Kanye came in here. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was going to be.
He was hesitant to come over, though. He was scared of you, man.
I don't want him to be scared, dog. I don't want to, like,
You're not going to fight me, are you?
there's no discourse between, first
Man,
of
man
all.
was quick to be like, we're not fighting. I don't know.
No, because first of all, he also had 2 special forces guys who was like, but there's no, none of that. We're brothers.
Kanye wasn't scared of no damn Van Lathan. Kanye was just trying to make sure that Van Lathan was not going to be involved in anything that was going to make him look crazy. That's why I keep noting that Kanye is very self-conscious about potentially looking quote-unquote crazy. He's very self-aware about how the media is trying to depict him. I think that he's a little worried that they're setting him up for something bad to happen to him and then claim that he's mentally fragile, and that's why whatever he thinks may happen to him will have occurred. At least that's how it will be reported in the media.
We could disagree, but at the same time, slavery is a choice. Yo, that's heavy, man. That's like that.
Yes, it's hurtful. And so-called black people, they need to feel that hurt. They need to be confronted with the truth. It's going to cause a great division, but it's going to be healthy in the long run.
You guys feel what I'm saying?
I feel what you're saying, and I got to tell you, I am very proud of you.
Yeah, I bet you are very proud of him, because you as a liberal Caucasian Jew and an agent of disinformation, you were trying to go back and forth about Kanye in regards to his statements. You were happy to see another black man go back and forth with a black man about the ideologies that have been imposed upon us by the liberal Caucasian Jew. Please understand that behind all of these liberal movements, these protests, Black Lives Matter, or the Civil Rights Movement, has always been the Caucasian Jew. The Caucasian Jew was the entity that was running the so-called NAACP since its inception.
I really am proud of you, and I think that, it took balls to do that. And, I was so stunned when he said it, and then it just kind of went by, and I said, excuse me, did you just say that? And you made him come back to it.
Yeah.
It was so, I don't even know how to say it, because it was almost poetic, the way you described your feelings about this, and you could see how tortured you were, because Van and I have had discussions, and a lot of people in the room have had discussions with Van, that Kanye West was his idol and changed his life in many ways.
Well, that's part of the problem.
And for him to do this, it was a big moment. Now, that said, I want to say one thing. I disagreed with a lot of what Kanye West said today, but I do really agree with him on one thing, and it's why I wanted to bring him in today. And I have been obsessed with this, and I've been thinking about this for days, all the time, that I think he is right, that our country is being destroyed right now, destroyed by the media, by social media, because what's happened is that if anybody dares present a viewpoint that is different from the majority or the people who are watching or running a particular network or social media platform, they get bullied, they get blacklisted, they get destroyed. And that's one of the reasons I thought he was doing this with the with the hat, with the Make America Great Again hat. I frankly didn't think he believed the things Donald Trump was saying.
Once again, pay very close attention to this photo. As you can see, Kanye West is not happy to be taking this photo. I believe that he was ordered to take this photo. And when I say ordered, I mean that there was a suggestion that was implanted in his mind to take the photograph. That is why Mr. Leo Cohen is in the middle, throwing up the Yoni sign, the 666 sign, to show those in the know that Kanye is firmly under control. The asset is in the bag.
Which I don't even know if he knows them.
I don't know that he knows him either, but I certainly don't. But what I liked was, I think what he's saying is, screw you, everybody who wants to destroy me because I'm doing this. I'm making a symbolic point.
Yeah.
And I think there is something to that.
Let me ask you a question, though, Harvey. I'll answer honestly. When Kanye started walking toward Van and they were having their intense heated debate, did you for a second think, it's going to go down?
Well, let's put it this way. I didn't say, uh-oh.
Once again, did you hear what the Caucasian Jew Harvey Levin stated? He said that when Kanye West was walking towards Van Lathan, he was not saying, oh. He was most likely in his mind saying, oh, yes, please fight. It's going to bring more notoriety to my station, and it's only going to be a couple of Schwartzes that are trying to kill each other as usual. No problem. But anyway, brothers, that's the end of my series on Kanye West. I do feel some form of sympathy and empathy for the brother because he has been a victim of the programming since childhood. Once again, his father is what's called a quote-unquote auditor through Scientology. He is a mind control handler and most likely a programmer as well. And Kanye West has pretty much been an asset all his life. Listen to the song that Kanye West did called Wolves, where he talks about his dad. And he talks about how his dad is turned out. And he used a little play on words there with that phrase, turned out. He was talking about his mother. He said that mama could see how you turned out. That was a play on words. I believe that had a double meaning. Not only if his mother, Donda, could see how his dad had changed, but also if she could understand how he was turned out, meaning how he was totally into Luciferianism. I believe that there was a high degree of programming that went on in Kanye's childhood that he's blocked out. And normally programming involves sexual molestation, deprivation, sensory deprivation, electroshock treatment, the usage of drugs, so on and so forth. But anyway, peace.